Hi, I'm Bernie Williams and welcome to that 4x4 show. In this episode, we get to explore the Serendipity Trail in Limpopo and we also drive the Arctic truck take on a Nissan Pathfinder. But first, Hannes gets to play in a very, very fast Jeep Cherokee, the new SRT. No low range in a Jeep. I'm seriously not convinced, but let's have a look in any case.
In 1987, we developed and built a Nissan Skyline to compete with the Group A Audi Quattro rally cars from Europe. And the technology was so far advanced that you can switch on the dash, you can switch 450, 550 and 650 horsepower while you were driving. Since 1987, technology has changed a lot. We present the Jeep Grand Cherokee SRT V8 with nearly 500 horsepower. This Jeep can do 0 to 100 in 5 seconds. It's got a launch control and a special track mode, and it sounds like a NASCAR.
Jeep didn't bother with a 2-speed transfer case for this Grand Cherokee. Instead, its coiled spring suspension with adaptive damping is managed by the Select-Track 4x4 system, and these elements combine to offer maximum grip on the road or on a gravel track. It also has an electronic limited slip differential at the back, and the driver can change the power split between the front and rear axles. For instance, in the auto mode, the electronics regulate the split between front and rear axle, but the default is 40% at the front and 60% at the back. In the snow and tow setting, the split is 50-50. In sport mode, it's 35-65%, and in track mode, it's a tail-happy 30-70% for the rear axle ratio. That's a bit like that smilometer switch in Hannes' rally car. Talking about rally cars, this Jeep has, like a world rally car, a launch control system.
Let's see if this launch control actually works. Launch control on, left foot on the brake pedal, right foot on the accelerator pedal, 4,000 revs, and let's go.
Oh yes, it does work. Essentially, this Grand Cherokee is unashamedly about speed. The Select Track system in the center console is also the "How brave are you feeling today" switch. Traction and stability control will mostly keep the driver in check, but in track mode, all the computers go on holiday, and all 470 horses are left to the driver to handle. And if you're a Hannes Krobler, that's just the way it should be. But what is this? Is this not a gravel road that maybe, possibly could be considered to be a rally-type track?
Aha, a rally track. For a petrolhead like me, this Jeep is actually a lot of fun to drive. The steering feels very good, the handling is very good, it doesn't really understeer with its 70-30 torque split, and I'm really enjoying it.
Indeed, Hannes, this 4x4 is all about driver involvement and enjoyment. It's even kind of a performance bargain, sort of. It sells for 880,000 Rand, which works out at 1,872 Rand per horsepower. Now, a middle-of-the-road SUV-ish performance car like, say, the Mini Cooper Countryman All-4 JCW makes 215 horsepower, but costs 433,000 Rand. That works out to 2,013 Rand per horsepower, which means the Jeep Grand Cherokee SRT8 is, in fact, extremely well affordable. On that note, we maybe should mention the fuel consumption. The 6.4-litre Bruiser likes the drink, and it will gulp down around 21 litres of petrol every 100 kilometers.
This is not a rally car, but a lot of fun to drive. Guys, I just think we need fuel and we can go again.
Oh yes, we should probably talk about the exterior and all that too. The latest Grand Cherokee features a few nips and tucks, like the new LED and bi-xenon headlamps with a black background, combined with new taillights. The famous 7-slot grille also in black. The SRT8 also features some unique design elements to help it stand out from the rest of the Grand Cherokee family, like the big 20-inch chrome rims shod with high-performance rubber, high-performance Brembo brakes, the not-so-subtle trumpet-style twin exhausts at the back. The SRT version is 51mm lower and 20mm wider than the other Grands. It just looks more compact, more the business, more menacing. Overall, it is a rather dashing design with a visceral soundtrack from the Hemi motor to match. The massive 8.4-inch TFT screen is new in the cabin. You also get a raft of cool features like adaptive cruise control, forward collision warning, and the command view sunroof system. It also has some Japanese-style performance bling, like the cool but somewhat superfluous Performance Pages application. This app can record lap times, acceleration and braking times, and even G-forces in the corners. But you've got to give it to Jeep. This cabin is really classy, with an air of quality that one would have hardly expected to ever see in a Jeep just 10 years ago. The SRT is kitted out in exclusive Laguna leather and Alcantara, and those front pews are super comfortable and supportive. It also comes standard with real carbon fiber trim inlays, an exclusive 3-spoke steering wheel that's also heated and extremely easy on the hands, and that comes with those paddle shifters. Next to the new T-handle shifter in the center console presides the launch control button. Okay, so you only get 5 seats, but remember, this ain't no soccer mom car. Even the rear seats are heated, and there is lots of space. Interestingly and refreshingly, the SRT8 gets a real spare wheel, and not one of them flimsy little space saver jobs. Overall, you can say this is a whole lot of Jeep, but sure, nearly 900,000 Rand for a Jeep. Isn't that just a bit, well, optimistic? Especially considering you'd need shares in an oil company to keep this beast on the road. Over to Petrolhead Hannes for the final verdict.
A Jeep for nearly 900,000 Rand and nearly 500 horsepower. You know what? I'll have one tomorrow.
Thanks, Hannes. Looks like the Jeep and you were kind of made for each other. Up next, I'm going to show you how to drive comfortably over a rocky section, and your passengers are really just going to love me for this advice.
Sometimes when driving off-road, especially over the rougher sections like this rocky bed, it can get a bit uncomfortable for your passengers. There is a way to make it a bit easier on them. When crossing a rocky section like we've just shown you, the natural tendency for your foot is often to bounce on the accelerator. And the result of that is that your passengers have a very uncomfortable ride because you have this constant surging. And the easiest way to counter that is a very simple movement. Just take your foot and kick it to the side against the firewall, and in so doing you'll stabilize your foot, and the end result will be a much smoother ride for your passengers.
Try that the next time you go off-roading and you'll be surprised as to how smooth your ride will be. Serendipity means pleasant surprise. And that's exactly what you will experience at Serendipity 4x4 Trails. It can vary from mild to wild. So let's go and have a look.
The Serendipity Eco Trails are located on a private farm called Terios, near Mookgopong in the Limpopo province. It's a reasonably short drive of 140 kilometers from Pretoria, and the 2,000-hectare farm provides a variety of wheeled action. Car owners can choose between several drives. A soft roader-ish track offers a scenic alternative to wheel-in-the-air kind of antics. For more serious 4x4 drivers, there is a 3-hour trail with a variety of testing obstacles. This includes rocks and some dongers. brave and or experienced, there is also the option of an extreme 4x4 track. This track, which starts next to a popular natural rock swimming pool in the mountains, will quickly kill off a 4x4 that doesn't have sufficient ground clearance or protection. The trail is rocky and rutted, with a tricky climb up a steep and slippery embankment. Another unique Serendipity attraction is the fact that you literally drive in the mountain river streams. We visited the venue in the middle of the winter when the water levels were low. In summer, after a lot of rain, the water is obviously deeper and the track much more difficult to traverse. Various trails, some of which also cater for quads, enduro bikes and even hikers, stretch over an unusual combination of valleys, gorges, savanna and mountain streams. The Waterberg's rock pools, with their crystal clear water, waterfalls and 360-degree panoramic views of the area, provide a unique take on this area. The farm also boasts a variety of wildlife. Various accommodation options are available. The most popular one is camping, and there are various campsites available, ranging from rustic to a bit more upmarket. Also on the menu is the main lodge, a self-catering option for visitors who feel more at home when they are surrounded by bricks. Day visitors are welcome too, and if you live in Pretoria or Gauteng, a day trip to Serendipity is well worth it. Visit www.that4x4.co.za for links to all our featured trails.
Serendipity is one of my favorite places and we need to get back there soon. If you really want a challenge, try it in the wet season. Arctic trucks have been around for more than 20 years doing conversions on different 4x4s, and we took their take on a Nissan Pathfinder on a kind of mild off-road drive.
So there you are in beautiful Africa with a spot of mountain pass to traverse. What to do and more importantly, what to use. This is Breed's Pass near Magaliesburg in the Northwest Province. This pass is not exactly a 4x4 challenge, but in places it's so rough, most sedan cars will break out in tears if they have to drive here. So what to use then? This will do. This is a Nissan Pathfinder V6 DCI. But it's one that's been on a cocktail diet of steroids, Solution 45 and a dash of Viagra. This is the Arctic Trucks version of the Pathy. 160,000 Rand upgrade that turns a middle-of-the-road Datsun 4x4 into an imposing and highly capable machine. This is Arctic Trucks' 35-inch conversion, and it certainly looks the off-road part. The upgrade includes the Arctic Truck rims and tires. Owners can specify what rubber they want fitted. This Nissan is fitted with chunky BF Goodrich all-terrains, which further enhances the Pathy's off-road pedigree. The new wheel arches are custom-made and represents a large chunk of the upgrade package. In this Nissan's case, it was not only a case of slapping on some off-the-shelf parts. These wheel arches had to be specifically molded to fit with the Nissan's lines. The Nissan's flimsy and superfluous standard side steps had been ditched in favor of some metal items from Arctic. Of course, one can't just fit 35-inch rims to a standard 4x4 and expect it to work just fine. So a lot of work went on underneath the skin, where adjustments were made, and a TJM suspension was fitted. Arctic products normally use Koni suspensions, but there is currently no Koni system for the Pathfinder. Another local Islake addition is the custom rear bar with a swing arm to accommodate the huge spare wheel. Retrofitted by Gary Swimmer from LA Sports Silver Lakes, the modified rear bar now provides a more practical solution for the spare wheel. The result is a Pathy with much improved approach and departure angles and at least 300 millimeters of ground clearance. This Nissan uses the standard 4x4 system, which means that although you get the low range option, there is only traction control but no rear differential lock. But what is Leisure Wheels magazine's Big Nissan like to drive then? On a road like this, it's absolutely spectacular. With the suspension and those big beeves soaking up the ruts and bumps, it simply sails over the bad sections. Doesn't lack power either. The turbocharged V6 diesel engine is stock standard, but it delivers 170 kilowatts of power and 550 newton meters of torque, which are streamed permanently to all four wheels via a 7-speed automatic gearbox. The 7-speed gearbox is not the Nissan's greatest attribute though, and even in stock standard V6 DCI applications, it's a lazy operator. And yes, the interior has all the bells and whistles and cowl, but the tactile quality is a bit iffy in places. But here's the thing, at just over 900,000 Rand for a new Pathfinder and the full conversion like you see here, it's a rather expensive dream. We couldn't help but make a long list of all the other cool 4x4s you can have for less money. If you're looking for a real head turner that digs really rough roads and you're a Nissan 4x4 groupie, then it hardly gets better than this.
So will you use less fuel driving with your windows open or with the aircon on? What scenario is it going to be? I know this has been done and it's been tested, but it's always been done on a sedan car. So here we have this aerodynamically challenged 4x4. So what's the difference going to be? Let's find out. Some people believe you only use the aircon in the car when the temperature reaches 40 degrees Celsius because of you using excessive fuel. So what do? Drive with the windows open and get blown away by the wind, or do you switch on the aircon? Let's find out the hard way.
To test the difference in fuel consumption between the three options, we used our standard Toyota Hilux 3-litre D4D 4x4. Okay, so here we are cruising along at a true 120 kilometers an hour. Aircon is off and the windows are closed. I'm just so grateful it's not 40 degrees today. With the first run in the bank, it's time for a bit of wind. More like a lot of wind, especially at a true 120 kilometers an hour with all the windows open. This really isn't fun anymore. After that, I don't think blow drying my hair will ever be the same again. Not that I normally do that, by the way. Anyway, with the Hilux's tank refueled to the brim, we hit the road again. This time in cool, calm and serene surroundings, with the windows closed and the air conditioning working. After almost 100 kilometers, it was time to compare the numbers. So on our control test with the windows closed at a constant 120 kilometers an hour, our little Toyota Hilux 3-litre D4D here gave us a constant fuel consumption of 10.4 litres per 100 kilometers. So then we opened the windows, okay, and then it jumped to 11 litres per 100 kilometers. But lo and behold, windows closed, aircon on, and at 120 kilometers an hour, 11.2 litres per 100 kilometers. So what does that mean? Basically translated over 1,000 kilometers, you'll have a saving, or let's rather say excessive use of 108 Rand more using the aircon. I say for 108 Rand, bring on the aircon, much more comfortable. And now we catch up with our Terios. Over the last 2 weeks, we introduced you to the little Daihatsu Terios, one of our project cars that we intend manning, well, up just a bit. Last week, the Terios finally got its turbocharger and intercooler, courtesy of Steve's Auto Clinic in Centurion. But after 2 months of delays with the development of the turbo installation, there was no time to waste. The Terios made its way down to Cape Town on a Motivia truck, where it was delivered to Maniac Manufacturing. Here, Maniac owner Mark Estrazen and his team installed the specially imported gas shock absorbers and the snorkel made from fiberglass know-how.
Fitting the snorkel, the intake goes into the inner fender, and then there's a pipe that runs on the inside, and it will go onto the existing, normally the existing intake, which is now being changed by the turbo. So we've got a challenge now to get housing over the filter section to seal it off with the snorkel.
The cool A-line ridge rims shot with Cooper Discovery 83 all-terrain tires were also fitted. Now the team is busy creating custom front and rear bars for the little Terios, as well as rock sliders. Mark Estrazen explains where we are in the process.
We lifted it a bit, we stuck a snorkel on it, we're busy doing a bumper, and then we'll see where it ends.
Right, so while Mark and the lads are busy working the magic on the Terios, it's time to introduce you to our project car number 2. We'll revisit Maniac Manufacturing in a few weeks to catch up with the progress on the mighty little Terios. Meet our 1996 Land Rover Discovery 1 V8, bought at a roadside bargain dealer for less than 30,000 Rand. Alas, at the price we knew, we would have to burn some cash on repairs. Now, before you say, well, duh, of course you are going to lose money. The whole idea of the project is to see how a cheaply acquired project car would pan out. All the good and the bad and everything else in between. The first major issue that came to light, we affectionately christened Dances with Death. At about 100 kilometers an hour, we discovered the Landy had a tendency to get itself into a terrible wobble. It was a bit like riding a wild lion bareback. Anyway, this turned out to be just one of many issues. Another one was the 100 liters per 100 kilometer fuel consumption. Sure, it's a lumpy V8, but that was just a bit too much. Next week, we introduce you to Danny Green, the man we turn to for divine intervention on this rather interesting little project.
I can't tell you how many times I've been tempted to buy a really cheap 4x4. So it's going to be interesting to see how the disco turns out. Unfortunately, that's all we have time for. Next week, Hannes gets to drive a soft roader and see how far it will go off-road. And in the meantime, please folks, keep left, pass right.
Catch all the latest motoring news in Leisure Wheels magazines. If you want more information about that 4x4 show, find us on Facebook. There you will also find more information about that 4x4 trip in conjunction with Leisure Wheels magazine. That 4x4 show brought to you by Bridgestone. Your journey, our passion.